5th of January, daily stock market update. The full trading week of the year, first full trading week of the year begins. Liquidity is back. Excuses are gone. This is where January starts to expose weak narratives. So let's do a quick bullet tight market update. UK markets first. FTSE 100 set for a steady open, and it has been so far. We're just about to get the US market open. That's what really the Brits are waiting for to set the tone for today. January inflows continue to favor value and income companies. People are a bit worried after last year's growth that can it really continue at that trend, because historically it tends not to. Therefore, they will go for the more undervalued companies, the ones providing better dividend yields. That's why we tend to, across our databases, look for companies, not just growth companies, not just value, not just income. They have to tick all three boxes, which means out of 10,000 global companies that we examine, only about 200 would make the cut. Anyway, early indications point to banks, energy, and defensives leading again. We don't go for sectors. We don't try and gamble on those sector rotations because the clue's in the word rotation. 1 week they're in, 1 week they're out. So what does that mean? Well, the tone is really one of quiet confidence rather than enthusiasm, which is fine. We don't want the market getting carried away with itself, because then the rides are bumpier. Investors are buying what they trust, hence the banks and some of the higher dividend stocks come into play. They're not buying what excites them. Okay, and that's a really important distinction to be made, which is better for the broader stock market as well. When it gets too carried away with itself, you know somebody's going to get hurt. The bigger picture, UK equities remain cheap relative, of course, to American ones, but that's partly also because their growth is projected to be a lot lower in the UK. However, are they cheap relative to their historic profitability? No. They're well priced. Okay. Are they under-owned by global funds? Yes, but they always have been for the reasons already mentioned. So that is not another reason to necessarily buy into them. The FTSE exposure that I have through the FTSE 100 is a 2 times leveraged exchange traded fund, which is probably the easiest, simplest way to show conviction in the FTSE. And I would only ever have 5% of my assets in there. No more. And it's not a gambling short-term trading exposure either. Leverage you should not do unless you're experienced, very experienced with it. Now, US, S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow. Futures are holding firm, but the market is entering the week priced for calm and perfection. In other words, any negative news for the stock market will give people an excuse to take profits, okay? Because the conviction and the strength of that conviction doesn't really seem to be there. If we look at the breadth of the market, the mega caps are still the ones doing all the heavy lifting. They're the ones that are pushing the indices, whether it's the Dow, the NASDAQ, or the S&P 500 higher. The middle cap companies, they're still multi-billion-dollar companies, these mid caps. They're not contributing, and that could lead to some optimism waning. There's only so long you can rely on Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Nvidia, maybe Tesla, perhaps Netflix, to do all the heavy lifting, before which even the narrative shifts and people start doubting themselves, even if those companies are profitable, and that causes volatility. But for the moment, no action needed. Early January typically brings a volatility reset. Complacency is now really the real risk. And I'm not seeing complacency across the market at the moment from the narratives, the stories, the things that I listen to, and the banks that I listen to as well. Macroeconomic developments. Venezuela is completely irrelevant for the stock market. America getting its hands on $17 trillion of oil may or may not, irrelevant. Some of the US oil companies showing 7% rises like Chevron. There's a good word for that, which we use in the stock market. It's called speculation. People are speculating that those companies might have deals. I'm not here to speculate. This is an investment daily update. So the soft landing story about interest rates, no recession, is the dominant theme. AI profitability looks to be baked in, so we're less concerned about that. The worry is if growth does slow, Or can we keep inflation under control? It looks like at the moment policy is fine. Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold. All is good. No action needed with your stocks other than to make sure you hold quality companies. The risk is not so much insight, but consensus. Consensus trades are fragile when reality intrudes. In other words, if everybody's thinking the same way, but the reality starts to differ, then those investments can take a bigger hit. Again, like I said, we're preparing ourselves more to ride through any downside moves than exit prematurely or even exit on those downside moves. In other words, the market is very much more through hold rather than sell and buy back cheaper later. Potentially, it could even be at a let's buy when things fall kind of mindset. All of this is positive background music for whatever you're holding. And it looks like it could be a good year potentially, given the initial sounds being made. Interest rates, the UK Bank of England's easing cycle is fully priced in. Rates are supportive. They're no longer driving the upside. So unless the Bank of England suddenly decides to raise interest rates, which it won't, there'd be a problem. Other than that, the Bank of England's interest rate policy has become irrelevant now for the moment. The US, the Federal Reserve, remains on hold. Markets care less about rate cuts and more about whether inflation will stay well behaved. Okay, so watch out for inflation numbers coming out of the US, which we will do, just in case the Federal Reserve says we're not going to cut interest rates anymore. And the reason that becomes a problem is the market doesn't think about what the next step is. It thinks about what the next 3 steps is. So what it's thinking is not whether interest rates will be cut, but will the cycle of cutting end. Therefore, it anticipates that, and people start pulling their money out. We're not at that yet, so all is fine. Rates are pretty neutral. They won't rescue poor earnings. If your company has poor earnings, where we are on interest rates won't save your company. It's going to dump 20, 25% in a day on its stock price, and it won't save lazy valuations. So if a company looks expensive and doesn't deliver, interest rates being where they are now won't save your company. In other words, the shift towards quality, which is what we're always focused on because it means we can sleep easy, is where we're increasingly moving to in this potentially fourth year of a bull market. Commodities, oil, Brent remains stuck in the low $60. OPEC is keeping disciplined and not oversupplying. The Venezuela story is irrelevant. If the Americans produce more oil, and drive the price of oil down, which they won't want to do too much, because whilst it'll reduce costs for Americans, the danger would be it make companies unprofitable. So you've got to get that balance right, just as OPEC does. And at the moment, it is where it is without causing any stock market problems. Gold is holding near all-time highs. Again, Venezuela will have helped because, hey, uncertainty, let's go buy some gold is the normal narrative. If you expect somebody else to do it, you want to get in first and ride the coattails. The most I hold in gold ever would be 5% of my total assets. My wife has bought some gold coins over a year ago, as you'll know, because I've said it often enough. I wish we'd bought a ton more, given how much it's gone up. The advantage with gold over silver in the United Kingdom, at least, is it is VAT and capital gains tax free. Silver isn't. Gold's strength suggests quiet institutional caution, not crisis, but certainly not euphoria. Okay, so don't think gold is the next Bitcoin. Speaking of Bitcoin, it's consolidating below recent highs. Well, there's risk appetite resets in January, essentially. New year, new mindset. Volumes are improving. Conviction isn't. So we'll keep an eye on it. If it drops below 50,000, we'll get interested. If it goes above 120, we'll get interested. In between there's no need to even talk about it. Okay. Now, major stocks, sector themes. US mega cap tech, it's still dominant. January, we're waiting for earnings season to start again. Can those companies, again, beat the expectations of their profitability at the moment? They're doing fine. Valuations now demand more and more and more profits. Having said all of that, NVIDIA trades at 28 times its future profits. In other words, if you expected $1 of profit, you're paying $28 to buy a stock of NVIDIA. Think of it like a house. If you think you're going to get $1 of profit in rental income in a year, you're paying $28 to buy the house. which is roughly the same as you're paying for Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, interestingly enough. They've all settled at that rate, which compared to their historic levels is cheap. US banks and energy, early beneficiaries of fresh capital, driven by yield, cash flow, realistic expectations. Those are the major themes I've already mentioned. Defensives, what we call healthcare. Why is it defensives? It's counter-cyclical. In other words, it's non-cyclical rather, because you're always going to need healthcare, whatever the economy is doing, unlike drinking Coca-Cola. Staples, again, you're going to need washing up liquid and bread. They're attracting more money in, and don't read too much into that at the moment. It's a good sign. It means that there's more breadth, and it means people are not being complacent and going just aggressively into tech in some kind of crazy euphoria. You want the markets to rise steadily. You don't want them to accelerate, okay? Because the accelerations are unsustainable, and then the falls give you one hell of a hangover. The January effect is very much in full swing. Fresh capital, fewer distortions, faster punishment for weak stories. So that's all good. Earnings season guidance will matter more than headline numbers over the next 2 weeks. So as these companies give their announcements on their earnings, we care less about what they've earned, more about what they say in future, i.e. guidance, they might earn. I guess there's some useful sound bites for you. January doesn't reward comfort. It tests it. Rates are no longer the hero. Gold is calm but unconvinced. This market needs breadth, not bravado. Okay, if you wanted me to summarize it, UK, cheap, steady, income-led. US, strong indices, fragile internals. We'll keep an eye out. Rates are supported and supportive, but sidelined. They're less relevant now. Oil is range-bound and crypto is consolidating. So, there you have it. Thank you very much. I need you to do me a favor, as I always do. 2 things. 1, look at the address I've put there, alpeshpatel.com. Please go to that. As our SEO improves, people going to our website, we do more of these for free. I'll also do more of these for free if we get more viewers. The best way for me to get more viewers and for it to cost you nothing is you simply have to comment. If you comment, even better, save the video. If you share the video, and if you do all 3, bingo. Okay, because then the algorithms save it, send it to more people. The more people it goes to, the more viewers I have, the more I continue doing these completely for free. But have a look at alpeshpatel.com. Okay, thank you all very much.